everybody likes to complain. It's frustrating, it takes time, and it can be embarrassing. But as more and more consumers feel that they're being dealt a duff deal, there's been an increase in the number of people who are biting the bullet and doing something about it. Now, in the past year, the Energy Ombudsman has received more than 78,000 complaints. Most of them were about billing. Shopping around for deals with utility companies is part of their business ethos. In March 2008, the Rushbys signed up to a new tariff, and for the first year, all was well. The following May, however, that seemed to change. We've received hundreds of letters from you outlining the various ways in which you feel that you're being ripped off. Everything from paying inflated prices to being smothered in those tiny print clauses that just cover you in confusion. Well, now we've got another one to add to the list. Shoddy service. And that's something that can cost you dear in time as well as money. 2.5 months after he first ordered his TalkTalk router, attempt number 8 was finally successful. Now, there was a time when, if you needed to track down a telephone number, there was just one number you had to call, and that was directory inquiries. But 7 years ago, all that changed when the industry was deregulated, and now there are more than 200 companies vying for your business. Now, working out which one to call is confusing enough, but trying to find out how much they're likely to charge you, well, that's another thing altogether. So I'm talking with Mr. Paul Williams, who is representing the Retail Motor Industry Federation. Now, you've had an opportunity, Mr. Williams, I know, of looking at some of our case studies. Let me talk to you about one in particular, first of all. We have a story of a consumer who bought a car, second-hand, 3-month warranty. 20 minutes later, driving it home, the head gasket went. The garage, even though it was under guarantee, refused to honour that guarantee. How is that possible?
It shouldn't have happened. It's very disappointing to hear of that instance, but the consumer needs to take all the action they possibly can against anything like that happening. It should not happen.
You say take all the action. What action can they take?
Well, as soon as the vehicle breaks down, they get in touch with the dealers. I think they did.
They did.
If that manager or salesman won't answer them, they ask for the sales manager. If he won't help them, the owner of the proprietor
did that.
In that case, they should then get the vehicle fixed, because obviously at that particular site they're not going to be helped. But as soon as they arrive home, they should then go to trading standards, or they should contact us, the RMI, on rmif.co.uk, and we will try and help them. Or they should go to legal people. The one thing they should not do is roll over.
You see, I've got figures in front of me here which say that Consumer Direct has had 38,000 complaints. 38,000 in the first 6 months of this year about your industry, which suggests that even though you're sitting here and being, as it were, the champion of the consumer, it does appear that yours is a very badly regulated industry.
Well, I can only be the champion of the industry. I can't actually manage the dealerships, Angela. But what I would say to you is that's a disappointing number, but there are 9 million used car transactions take place every year. 9 million. Now, whether you want to do it as a percentage, I'm not clever enough to work it out.
But it doesn't matter, even if it's only one.
Exactly so. I was going to make that point. It doesn't matter. But it isn't just the complaint, you see. It's the way in which that complaint is handled that matters. In other words, you come to me with a complaint, and I say, go away. That complaint is still registered. If you come to me and I say, Angela, I'm terribly sorry that has happened. How can I help you? That's a complaint also, but I've actually resolved your problem. I would suggest to you that out of that number of complaints, an awful lot have been satisfied to the consumer's satisfaction. Now, what I'd like to do, all these people that do these things, is to go back and say, OK, you had a complaint, was it handled properly? And then maybe we should look at the number that weren't handled properly, and I think it would be a lower number.
It's not doing your industry any favours at all, though, is it, to have the kind of dealer who is bringing down your reputation for honesty?
No, it isn't. Absolutely not.
The joke about, would you buy that from a second-hand car dealer has been around so long, it suggests that actually your industry does have an awful lot of ground to make up.
Yes, I think estate agents are catching us up now. But yes, I agree with you. It is a perception problem. And it annoys me, actually. I get quite impassioned about it.
What more do you think you can do to, if you like, clean up your act as an industry?
Well, I think people like me to come on programmes like this and tell the consumer that if they're badly treated, to get in touch with organisations and to pursue these dealers who don't do what the majority of our dealers do, and take away this dreadful perception that we have, because it annoys me and frustrates me, because I know of the work that is going in to the majority of our members in trying to give a good service to the consumer.
Let's talk now about financing. Can you explain to me exactly what flat rate means?
Flat rate really is the figure that indicates how much you're going to pay per annum for that particular vehicle. The complexity comes where you've got flat rate and APR. Now, but the APR is a truer figure. It's the figure that you would use to compare rates. So if you're buying a vehicle off me and you have another gentleman wishing to sell you the same product, and you want to compare which is the better deal, you would compare the APRs, not the flat rates. In terms of the consumer, the first thing the consumer has to do is to make sure they can afford that monthly payment. Ignore the rate, because if they can't afford that monthly payment, it doesn't matter what the rate is. Having decided they can pay it, they should then make sure the dealer gives them the two rates. Now that's important, because if any dealer can't give you the two rates, or doesn't give you the two rates, they are, again, outside the bounds of legal jurisdiction.
So when you say the two rates, they must give you the flat rate and the APR.
Absolutely right, yeah. That's right. If they can't do that, or won't do that, I'm saying to you, don't do business with them. Because either they don't know what they're doing, which is not a good sign anyway, or they do know what they're doing and they're trying to mislead you.
So, in a nutshell, what are the rights that you have as a consumer when you are buying a second-hand car?
Well, you are entitled to buy, legally entitled to buy a car or a product, well, in this case a car, that is fit for the purpose, i.e. you can sit in it and drive it, and it is of merchantable quality. Now, if either of those provisions are
and
not...
is protected by the Sale of Goods Act.
Those are the clauses within the Sales of Goods Act. Now, if that product falls behind any of those two, you have the right to take it back to the retailer. Now, the retailer also has rights here. He is entitled to say, terribly sorry, I will fix that for you. He has that right, which I think is reasonable. If he can't fix it for you, you then say, okay, well, I'd like my money back, please, or I'd like another vehicle of exactly the same specification. And he must do either of those. Now, if he doesn't, that's when you start to engage with the RMIF, with trading standards. In terms of finance, make sure that people give you the two rates. If they don't, walk away. Make sure you read what the finance agreement is. If you're not happy with it when you get home, you have 14 days to go somewhere else to find finance for that. In terms of the warranty, exactly the same. Have a look at it, see what it excludes, and make sure it actually is beneficial to you. Bearing in mind, used cars are covered by the Sales of Goods Act anyway.
So don't roll over and question everything.
As you would with any other purchase. And if you do get badly treated, contact the RMIF or trading standards.
Thank you very much indeed.
My pleasure.